Hi guys, Ambush whatever here, back with another video, and for today, I'll be doing a new part of What If Deku Had All the Altorias, or Altrias, you could say. I really hope you enjoyed this series, but with that out of the way, let's begin the story. We last left off when Artoria, our servant, or Izuku's servant, was summoned by Izuku, asking Izuku, "Are you my master?" Izuku asked himself in his mind, saying that is this the power? Is this was this the power that Ambush was talking about? Was this it to summon a, a servant of a kind? Which Artoria just asked again. Are you my master, sir? Which Izuku just says, I am. Wait, first of all, how are you? How did I summon you? She explains about the Holy Grail lore and a lot of those shebang about the Fate series, about the Holy Grail lore, which I'm not gonna explain here because it's gonna be tedious. It's gonna be so tedious. So now Izuku was wondering, so you're my quote unquote servant. What do you mean by servant? Which Artoria explains about the Holy Grail lore again, as well as how the servant system works, which is some legends or heroes, some gods as well, are being can be summoned in as a servant in classes of 8, which are Saber Archer, Lancer Rider, Caster, Assassin Berserker, and Ruler. There are 5 more classes classifying as Avenger, Alter Ego, Moon Cancer, Forwarder, as well as Shielder. But I have never seen a Avenger class servant before, so I can't really be so sure that there is really one. Which Izuku just wonders and looks at her with her sword, which holding Altoria's shoulders, Izuku asks Artoria, can you train me in sword fighting, please? Yes, even though Izuku is good in sword fighting, Artoria, as Ambush said, is the is in this universe, aka Arthur Pendragon, the one that removed the sword from the stone. Which Inko walks into Izuku's room and says, "Honey, dinner's ready." And they see Inko sees Izuku holding a girl to a wall, essentially. Let's just say that because she was very surprised that Izuku was going to do that, and Inko just says, "Go on, go on with your business. I'll be right downstairs, and please use protection." Which Izuku just blushed and says, "Mom, that's not what it is. Mom, that's not what it is." Which now Izuku explains to Inko what his powers are. Not essentially a quirk, but essentially magic craft, or essentially magic. And essentially this is a quirk that, not a power that was given to him by a god, which Inko wasn't sure at first, but eventually believed Izuku because because Izuku showed her how to summon Artoria and how it was done, and without that, that's the reason that he was motivated to train kendo and sort of stuff, kendo, sword fighting, as well as Muay Thai, Wing Chun, Taekwondo, Arnis, and so on. So he learned that, which we go through the days when Izuku was in his room and actually asking Artoria about her past and stuff, about what she did, how to become a ruler, how to become this aura of a king, because Izuku has an aura of a king. To be fair, that's true. He has an aura of a king. Like if he's talking to someone, like for example negotiating a deal, it's like that that the person that is talking to Izuku feels that Izuku is some royalty, some of essentially royalty, which that's the reason. And actually, the prim and proper ways to because the prim and proper ways to act with a woman as well, because to become a gentleman, to say, which Artoria was a little bit hesitant in this one, and a little bit shy because it's Izuku's a guy, Artoria's a girl, so who who would see that? But essentially, Artoria teaches Izuku how to be a gentleman, to always how to eat properly, as well as doing excellent posture, as well as him having a accent that resembles that of a British accent. So he essentially has a Izuku essentially has a British slash Japanese accent. He can use both, but essentially he mostly uses his British accent. He somewhat uses his Japanese accent when he is talking to, I guess, talking to his mother, and or when it slips out of his mouth, essentially. Which which through the days, Artoria was actually like like a girlfriend to Izuku, but Artoria has feelings for Izuku because uh he's so kind that it it reminds him that of someone. Izuku reminds Artoria of someone, which I'm not gonna say who, because this certain character isn't in the story. So yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, it it reminds him of a certain someone that she knows, that actually gained her trust, which was really really surprising, and how kind he is, how respectful he is, how he protects the weak, which Artoria Artoria actually saw Izuku protecting a person from because this person was quirkless, protecting them, giving them a hope that they can become a hero, or and protecting them from bullies and from obviously discrimination. Which yeah, it's really this really saw this is what Artorias saw of Izuku, that he is so very kind, even though he doesn't need to be kind. He's so kind to everyone, and he doesn't belittle others like a certain someone. But he, if he ever says something rude, he always apologizes, as well as when he says something that is saying that you need more training, instead of in a rude way, he always give them hope, like you're weak, but with enough training you could be great, like that. And he is more of an inspiration for the quirkless people out there, and which circulated around let's just say the quirkless sphere, which these people are essentially quirkless people that were inspired by Izuku to move forward, to be greater than them. Sorry about that. Be greater than they could ever be, or not define them by not having power, but define them as people, as human beings, not as not as a second race of society. Which yeah, that's what Izuku did. And through the 10 months, Izuku actually trained with Artoria, learned a lot about sword fighting and how to do a proper stance, to use a sword. To which Artoria actually tested a theory, and actually puts Excalibur on a stone. Yes, on a stone, essentially like what she did when she was young, and asked Izuku. Izuku, master. And Izuku just says, Izuku, Artoria, I said just call me Izuku, please. I don't really like this master servant thing. Just call me Izuku, please. Which Artoria just says, sorry about that, Izu. Which she just blushed from that nickname, and Izuku says, okay, Tori. Which she blushed more because Izuku looks at when she looks at Artoria. Izuku likes Artoria, but he doesn't have the courage. He doesn't have the courage to confess because this is what all guys do. They are too scared to confess, just like me. There are some people that are too scared to confess their feelings, afraid of being hurt. So that's essentially what Izuku is doing. And they don't know that they both love each other or have a crush on each other, which is quite funny to be fair. And when Izuku went to the stone and tried to, tried to get the sword from the stone, which Izuku Artoria, being in shock, being in shock, sees Izuku effortlessly remove the sword from the stone. She was in utter disbelief, which she just says, "How?" Well, I guess you're worthy to use the sword, to use Excalibur. Which Izuku gave back the sword to Artoria. Which Izuku just says, "Thanks, but it's your sword. I have no right to use your sword." Which she just blushes again because of acting like a knight with chivalry, essentially. So yeah. So what happens next is that after the 10 months, Izuku was in tip-top condition, training as a knight, being a gentleman, as well as being chivalrous and be kind to the ladies. Which when Inko saw this improvement of Izuku, she thought of her son turning into a man because who would have thought that Izuku would be like this? Well, obviously you guys know, and also I, but yeah. But Izuku's mom was surprised by this, but still loved Izuku very much, and actually is very very proud of him to stand up to bullies and stuff, or to stand up to people that are or to protect the people that are quirkless. Yeah, so after that they essentially go to they essentially go to the UA to participate in the entrance exam. Which, if you might be wondering, what is Artoria doing? Well, she's in spirit form, so yeah, she's invisible, but she can be seven if necessary. So yeah, but she's always in Izuku's side. Which when they got to the auditorium, there's a cute scene that I'm gonna put in this, which Izuku is seated on a seat, not next to Bakugo because I in the early stages of My Hero I hate Bakugo so much, but manga spoilers, Bakugo did good. I'm just gonna say that Bakugo did good in the end. But yeah, essentially, Artoria doesn't have a seat, so Izuku quote unquote teased her and says that, "How about you sit on my lap?" Izuku nonchalantly saying this, which and on the inside he's essentially overreacting essentially. But yeah, Izuku thought that Artoria wouldn't do it, and Artoria caught on a little bit and tried to, let's just say, get back at Izuku and actually sat on his lap, which made Izuku blush, which luckily no one noticed except for Artoria, and Izuku noticed Artoria was blushing while she is seated on his lap, which he just thought that every typical anime character that because there is a guy and a girl, essentially that this is quote unquote embarrassing, you could say. But the test went as normal to say because Artoria said to Izuku that it doesn't if you have bronze you can do a lot of things, but if you have brains you can do everything. But the meaning of that is that you're not complete when you have only bronze or strength. You're complete when you have brains and brawn. Essentially, strength and mind, which Izuku actually studied for the test for this one. So he got all A's essentially, all A's. So he got a high grade as well as he got a high grade. But for the exam for the hero orientation, you could say, they went to the auditorium and President Mike was explaining about the point system, the robots and stuff, which Izuku was strategizing with Artoria how to, how to get the most points, and Izuku some quote unquote summoned her and tried to do the call, which Izuku still does the call, but even though she will just appear out of nowhere, she can do that, but it's more of a tactic to say that he quote unquote needs to say the chant to summon her, which he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't really need it, to be fair. Which Izuku just Izuku just continues strategizing with Artoria on how to do this, and that, on how to do the zero pointer as well as no, not the zero, yeah, the zero pointer because they read the pamphlet, as well as how to get more points, which obviously our Sonic ripoff obviously interrupted President Mike and essentially said that this is a disgrace to UA, asking about the zero pointer and why it's not listed on the pamphlet, which why isn't not listed in the pamphlet. But if you might be wondering how does Izuku know, well, he got a different pamphlet, like every so often. Obviously this is a mistake that some schools do if they're really busy, so I'm gonna make an exception in UA's favor. And yeah, essentially when Izuku essentially was strategizing with Artoria, the Sonic Hedgehog ripoff interrupted President Mike, and actually blamed Izuku for being too noisy. Which, to be fair, Izuku wasn't that noisy. He's whispering level, but he can't be heard by the whole class. Which Izuku got a little bit pissed off and looked at Artoria and she nods. And Izuku just did that, quote unquote, embarrasses Ida, saying that you're the one that is disrespecting everyone here by revealing the obvious. You are really a disgrace for this school. If you really are going to be serious about this school, why not let the teachers first explain it? And sometimes in these situations, if the teachers are not going to explain it, it might be a surprise, or there's a certain criteria to attain it. Do you understand? Which sometimes, sometimes school do that certain criterias and some stuff. Which which let's just say that a lot of the students were quite unquote laughing at Ida, maybe snickering, snickering, and but Izuku wasn't having any of Ida's sassiness, to be frank. But Izuku just sit back down and Artoria continuing on sitting on Izuku's lap, which Izuku still blushes, but got over it because of she being that this close to him. Eventually, you're gonna get used to it. But after that, well, they went to the, I guess, ground beta, if I remember. Yeah, ground beta. Yeah, no, ground beta or ground gamma, I think. But I think it's ground beta, which for a testing site to do the hero exams or the physical portion of the hero exams. And what they did, what Izuku was warming up, ready to clash. Him having a kendo sword, yeah, or should I say a akido, essentially just a wooden sword like a katana and some of that. But yeah, and he got permission for this because him having no quirk, and a lot of the heroes actually very interested on what they will see about this student and giving them a chance because yeah, sometimes people are not what they seem, you could say. So yeah, Izuku was waiting for the doors to open, not waiting for President Mike. No, 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 no. And a hero's job, you should be always alert. So he's waiting for the doors to open. Izuku, but before that, Izuku chanted, "Heed my words. My will shall create your body, and your sword shall carve my destiny. If you heard my call, then obey me, my will, and answer me." Which there is a bright light that consumes the area, which they saw a girl with blonde hair wearing armor, saying, "Master, shall we begin?" Which in on all actuality she just manifested out of thin, quote unquote, manifested out of thin air just to make it more luxurious. And which in the exact timing the doors open and Izuku rushed forward with Artoria, or should I say Altria, which slashing and hacking at a lot of the robots, which a lot of the students said that he's cheating. President Mike didn't say that. President Mike didn't say that to go yet, which President Mike interrupted, saying that, "What are you doing? Follow that kid's example. There are no countdowns in a real battle." Which now they effed up. Which they just follow Izuku, but to their complete surprise, there is a massacre, and I mean really a massacre. There aren't that many robots left. Izuku's taking all of it, which luckily for UA has a lot of budget, so they made a lot more robots, and luckily for the students, they sort of managed to get points. Yeah, managed to get points to at least pass. Which when it came time to the zero pointer, which Oraka is still trapped in the zero on the rock, which Izuku having this courage in him. Yes, having this courage in him, jumps forward, and him thinking he needs to destroy this thing, which he's being desperate, trying to hack it down, but it doesn't work. Which Izuku was being desperate now and saying that I can't let her die. Which in that exact moment, Izuku was engulfed in a bright light. Him having this sword, the same as Excalibur, but a little bit different. It's called Excalibur of Life. Or should I say, the sword of life itself. And yeah, Izuku having this, him having 7 seals on the sword, and Izuku using Excalibur, which yeah, Izuku uses Excalibur, and with a bright beam destroying the zero pointer into smithereens and saving Uraraka, which Artoria was surprised when she saw this, the bright light, and Izuku having this sword, which I'm gonna put on screen. What sword it is? Which yeah, it's obviously Excalibur prototype, but still, I'm gonna make it called Excalibur of Life, or Life Excalibur, or Excalibur of Origin, you could say. It has many names, but most recent one is Excalibur of Life. But yeah, after saving Ochako, Ochako thanked Izuku, which the sword disappeared, by the way, to let's just say a realm where, or should I say, a space, a pocket dimension, yeah, a pocket space, you could say, that where he can store it. Which Izuku was surprised when the sword was gone. Which after that, they eventually went home. Which Izuku was really not really cocky that he passed, but really has confidence that he passed because of him saving the girl, which being an asset of being a hero, as well as accumulating a lot of points. Which, yeah, after that, well, Izuku just went home with Artoria. Which, while walking home, Artoria was asking Izuku what was that bright light. Which Izuku just remembered the bright light as well as the sword. Which Izuku says, I just remember that I summoned a sword that I think it's like I know its name, and it looks a lot like Excalibur, but doesn't at the same time. It's, if I remember correctly, when I said it, Excalibur of Life, which Artoria was shocked that there is another Excalibur. Which, by the way, this was made by the god for this what if, which is Ambush, or the god of what ifs in this story, which is Ambush. So yeah, which eventually he was very surprised and eventually went home and put it in the back of his mind. Which he would say that I need to eventually talk to Ambush about this. Which when they got home, Izuku celebrated with his mom that he think that he passed because of him accumulating a lot of points as well as saving a girl. Which Inko was very very sad. Aw, that's my baby boy. Which yeah, after eating, going to his room with Artoria, saying that, how can I talk to Ambush in this one? Which Ambush surprisingly appears and said, "Oh, hello there, Izuku. You might be wondering how I can talk to you. Well, let's just say that I had some free time, so might as well use it to help you. So, what do you need, my boy?" Which Izuku was shocked at this and composed himself and said that, first off, uh, what are you? How did you do that? And I just say that, well, as I said before, Izuku, I had a few extra, I know, hours. You could say a few extra hours to do nothing essentially, or I'm on my not essentially my rest day essentially, but I was getting bored, so I was thinking of trying to help you on to answer some questions. Which I noticed that you finally unlocked one of Art Artoria's forms. Which Izuku heard this one saying one. Which Izuku just says that, wait, do you mean there's more of Artoria? Which Izuku just asked the god him. Which I just say that, well, yes, there's a lot of her, to be fair, but you need to know them by yourself. No one's gonna ask you for their name. They're gonna come naturally to you in the given situation. Okay, Izuku. And you might be wondering of the new sword you got. Well, that's from me. I gained technically I gained a passage for that to actually made that, and as well as the seal for that, and as well for the seal. If you're going to use the full power, you need to release all the seals, but it instantly, and I mean instantly, goes seal it back up. But if you want to unseal all of it, and I mean really all of it, nothing coming back, you have to go to me. You have to ask me for this, okay? And don't resort to of Life too much, because it's it's still a sword. It's still lethal. Don't kill people, okay, Izuku? But with that, with your question answered, do you need more questions? Which Izuku just says, how can I unseal it first? Which which Izuku asked the god, which I just say that, well, it will come naturally to you as well. It will come really naturally to you. But I guess that's the all time we have. But if you have more questions, Izuku, which Izuku nodded no, which Izuku just Izuku said to essentially to the god. Ambush just says, "Well, I'll be off then, ta ta." Which after that, a golden particles appeared in the spot of Ambush once was, and Izuku lying on his bed saying that, this is gonna be interesting and a little bit hard, but I'm gonna do my best, as I promised to you, Ambush. Which he fell asleep, and that's where I'm gonna be leaving it off. Sorry guys if it's I took too long for this story. I'm really sorry, but I had a lot of school and it was my exam week. Sorry about that. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this series as well as I do. So, and as well as, like I always say, like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys later. Bye!